Hi guys, Billy back, and this time we're looking at the Lara Croft 1/6 scale collectible figure by Master Team. Now this is her in an expedition outfit from the video game. I think the second one, maybe the third as well, but I think it was definitely the second one. It's actually quite a nice looking costume that she wears. So let's just get straight into it, because I am chomping at the bit, because I have been desperate to get a 1/6 scale figure into the collection for a while. Postal strikes, the whole shebang, everything's taken a while to get here. As you can see, we've got a picture of the figure here. We've got Lara Croft 1/6 scale collectible figure with some nice blue sort of rocky background. That's really it, the Master Team logo there. There's not a lot, but the fact that they still called it Lara Croft is pretty cheeky. And then turn to the side again, it's just the logo with some textures. And then on the back you've got your usual warnings, age 15 and up. And then on the other side, Lara Croft logo again. Okay, and that's pretty much it. It's a fairly understated box. It's not going to wow you, but to be honest, that's not why you buy these figures, is it? We buy them for the figures themselves. So let's open this up and have a look at exactly what we get. Okay, so just sliding the lid off, you can see you've got foam insert, and there's actually all the accessories on display here. Now I don't think there's any other layers, simply because it's quite a thin box and the figure's got to fit in there as well, and I don't think she comes with a base. But it is really nice to have the foam insert packaging. It always makes it feel just a little bit more premium to me. Okay, so I've just taken her out of the box, and before you say, hey, I thought you said she didn't come with a base, she doesn't. This is actually a base from one of the Wandering Earth figures by Damn Toys. I saw it online on eBay being sold, and I put a bid in for it really low, and I won it, and I thought, that's a pretty cool looking base, and it will work well with this expedition outfit, Lara Croft. So that's why I bought it. I was going to change the nameplate over and try and get like a little metal nameplate made for it, but I haven't been able to find anyone who can do it yet. So if you have any recommendations for anyone that can do like an engraved like thin metal nameplate for like stands and stuff, let me know. But as it is, she comes with quite a few accessories, and they're all pretty useful for the figure itself. It's not like a lot of this crap is going to sit in a box and not get used. First of all, she comes with her bow, and this is like very much like the video game bow. In fact, this is a video game figure, so we're not going to judge it on its realism to a real person, simply because that's not going to happen. It's not a real person. But you can see the bow's pretty nice. It's made very, very well. Elasticated string. It's tied up the top there. It's quite simplistic, but then I think the bow in the game actually was to begin with, so that's not such a big deal. Now next up comes the quiver, and this sits on her back, and it's got sort of like a reasonably okay pleather looking strap, but that always bugs me, you know why. But you can see it's actually quite well sculpted. It looks very similar to what you saw in the video game itself, and it's actually been weathered. They've actually given it a little bit of dirt to highlight sort of grooves and everything to make it look a little bit more like a fabric quiver rather than plastic. And it's quite soft and malleable. And she also comes with two arrows, very nicely detailed as well. They've got arrow heads, and then they've got string tied them to the actual stem of the arrow itself. And then you've got sort of like a makeshift flight on the bottom here, and you get two of those. That's pretty cool, because if you lose one or break one, you've always got a backup. They're quite solid, they're quite sturdy. They could even be metal. Yeah, these could actually be metal. But you can see, trying to push them in, they look a little bit long in there, don't they? Like that. But you know, still pretty cool. She also comes with two sort of climbing hooks. I don't know what you call these. Climbers, you know what these are, but you know, she uses them in the game a lot. They're actually really, really well made. I like the way they've done the chipping down the sides here to reveal the metal underneath. It's actually really well done, and it actually looks like chipping. It's not like they just dry brushed a little bit of silver on there. It does look reasonably, like realistically chipped, which is nice. They've got nice jagged edges here. Solid paint app, you know, stops where it should stop. There's no real bleed off. The blades are separate from the actual handles. Yeah, I have to say, I actually quite like these. I think they could have done a bit more weathering on the handles themselves, but again, overall, these will look really effective on the figure, especially if she's standing there with them. She also comes with a 6-shooter. Again, reasonably well made. This looks like the kind of thing you would actually get in the game. Sort of dry brushed to within an inch of its life, because that's how the artists would make it in the game with all the chipping and everything. I actually like the handle as well. Solid colours, no bleed off, very well made. I don't know what you call this middle bit, I'm not a gun aficionado, but this bit turns as well, which is a nice little detail. She also comes with a ponytail for the back of her head. Here's a little walkie-talkie that she uses in the game with a nice time frame on it of 2022. And it's reasonably well made. It's a little bit plastic fantastic, but at least the handle on the back is metal. And I think that will look pretty effective, especially if she's got it in her hand and you're running around with it. And she also comes with these climbing screws that I think you put into the wall and climb up. These are supposed to just go on a side of a sort of belt or something like that. So I don't think you're meant to put these in a wall or anything. You know, the more accessories she's carrying on her, the more prepared she looks and the cooler the figure looks. And she also comes with some climbing grips, I think you call them, for her boots. She also comes with a hunting knife, and it's reasonably well made, but it does feel a little bit plastic fantastic. You know, the silver looks a bit toyetic, which is a bit of a shame. It is okay, especially from the handle up. Looks pretty nice. And she comes with 5 hands. These 3, this is like a bow pulling hand. Again, a bow holding hand, and a right-handed gun holding hand as well. Which she's also got a gun holding hand on this side, and I think it's just a gripping hand on this side as well. And she also comes with some climbing rope that I think you just hang down the side of her, and it does look really good, and it is actually real rope as well, which is a nice touch. Okay, and that's it for accessories, so let's just get in and have a look at the figure itself now. Okay, let's have a look at the head sculpt. And what I really like about this head sculpt is the paint application they've done across her cheeks here. I don't know if you can see it as well because of these lights being very, very bright, but she's got sort of blushing around the cheeks and the nose and the forehead, where it looks like, you know, the cold air is just battering her on the face. And I think that is one of the reasons I was really looking forward to this figure, because it looked in the prototype like it just came out off the screen from a video game. It looked really good. My only disappointment is she did have a hair strand hanging down here across her eye, and that actually added a level of sort of depth to the head sculpt that I really liked, and I really expected it to just come through, but I think they took it out. Maybe they were just, it was too risky, maybe it damaged the head sculpt, or it was too hard to paint it while it was on there. But as it is, yeah, that is a mild disappointment. But overall, like the redness on the chin and the paint app and those really glossy eyes, she's got super shiny eyes in there. It does look like they've sort of just dragged her off the video game screen and put her on your shelf. Neck, not so much. Again, it's all covered up, but she's actually got some paint detail on there. There's some flecking on the neck and the chest area. Sometimes they just use a stock body and you won't get any of that. You'll just get like a plain sort of rubber colour, but there's actually flecking in that skin tone, so it does really work nicely. And also the head sculpt comes off pretty nicely and easily. I know some people aren't going to like that, but I do like that, because obviously where her clothing is a bit thick and puffy, if you push her head all the way down, she looks like she's got no neck. So you can easily lift this up to exactly where you want it to be, and then you can actually get this perfectly proportioned out so it looks really nice. And speaking of the coat, I was really impressed by just how non-puffy this thing is. I thought this was going to be like a huge puffy thing and it wasn't going to work properly, and the prototype was lying to me, but they've actually gone ahead and they've even made it, you know, it looks puffy, but it's actually reasonably thin, and it works really well for this proportioned body because it's just exactly how it looked in the prototypes. The only problem or criticism I have is there is a mild lack of weathering. I think the actual prototype looked like it had some weathering on there, but then when you actually zoom in and have a look closely and really scrutinize it, I don't think it did. I just think the lighting made it look a little bit more dirty than it actually was, because in other photos it looks a bit more like this. But yeah, I have to say I really like this. Not a big fan of the hood, mostly because trying to put it on and keep it on there is just not going to work. You can futz and pull it around and move it about, but I think if you're going to try and do the hood, it would have been nice if they'd actually given us some wiring inside there so we could actually bring it down. She could do like a E17 Stay Another Day Christmas music video with that hood. But then you get this scarf, and it's again reasonably thin, and underneath she's got brown vest. You won't really see that though. And then you've got the zip. The zip piece here is pretty big. It's a bit too big if I'm honest, but you won't really notice that once you've actually got her posed up, which is a bonus. But yeah, coming down, I I think maybe the legs might look a little tad long, but that's because she's just been standing straight up. I think once you've got her posed out and her knees are bent and everything a little bit more and make her look a bit more natural, I think those slightly longish legs will disappear. Speaking of legs, you come down, you've got the boot warmers here, but if you lift them up you can see there's no socks or anything, and then we've got the exposed boots, and that's what I mean about these boots. There's no weathering, they're pretty clean. They look a little bit toyetic at the front with the laces looking a bit thick. But once you put those climbing spikes on there, I think that will give these boots a much needed level of detail. But again, a small criticism I have is there is a lack of weathering on here. She's in climbing gear, so you'd think she wouldn't look this clean coming straight off a mountain, but that's something I can rectify, but I'm not sure if other people who just don't have the energy for it would even bother. But overall I'd like to say the aesthetics look pretty good. Posing wise, you can get her head up that far, you can get her head down about that far, but it springs back up a little bit. She's got quite a lot of pivot. She can spin around as much as you like, although she does get caught on the edges of this coat a little bit, so maybe lift it up and then turn it around and then get it positioned properly. There does seem to be a bicep swivel. There is a double bend in the arms, so the arms can get far in, and the hands are on wrist pegs so they can go up and down and spin all the way round. Torso right, she can turn about that much, she can turn about that much. She can bend forward a reasonable amount considering she's got a puffy jacket on, and lean back about that far. There is some side rocking, and coming down into the hips you can see there is a thigh swivel. The legs only go out to about there, but I don't know if you need her to van down more than that. The legs can go up to about there. There is a double bend in the knees, and the boots are on a ball joint so they can pivot around a reasonable amount, and she'll be able to get her into some good action poses, but the legs only go back about that far. Okay, so I've been tweaking things and getting her moved around and putting the accessories on her, and I actually think it's not too bad. Now, in the process of putting it all together, I noticed a couple of little niggling problems that I have. First of all, when they showed the prototype, they actually had a piece of hair strand a bit more further down the front of the face there, which I liked, and they changed. Another problem is the strap here. They advertised it in the promo pics again with a far sort of sturdier looking strap with a buckle that was way more elaborate and a lot more detailed, and it looked really strong, whereas they've just gone with a very basic buckle here strapped to her like that. It's not a big deal, but when you're advertising something, the closer you can get to the prototype, the happier we are. Now the hair piece here, you can have this turned around and it can do like a sort of full turn, so if you wanted to, you could have it so that she is, excuse me for a second, turn the head back around so it looks like she's on a windy mountaintop, which is again very cool. I like that, it is good. And then when you actually turn it down and have it hanging down, it pushes the hood down as well, so you can actually keep the hood sort of firmly downwards so it doesn't get in the way too much, but you can obviously see the fur trim at the back there, which is again a very nice touch. And I really like that coat. I think it's absolutely wonderful what they've done. It's slightly more puffy around the sleeves here than, I think they could have got away with thinning it out a little bit more, but also I understand why they didn't. But I also like how thin it is around the body. It hugs to it and it actually still gives her a sort of feminine silhouette while also looking like it is practical. Again, the trousers look a bit clean, but they are very well made, and I absolutely love that they've put in the pockets. I always like these sort of tiny little details on a figure when you can actually look at it and go, my god, there's so many little details. And you can see again the straps and the holster here is made of plastic, which I'm fine with, because the longer this thing lasts the better. The less pleather the better in my eyes, especially like they've done it here as well. They've given her a plastic belt around the waist, so that's going to last a lot longer than say anything made with pleather. Okay, so overall what do I think? Well, I think she's a very good looking figure. They have done a really great job of taking Lara Croft off the screen and putting her in figure form. That being said, the niggling problems I have with this figure, there's a few. There's not loads, but there's enough. First of all, the string came unwrapped, sort of unraveled on me, and it fell down. I had to try and wrap it up. I'm not very good at that. So that's my first minor gripe, is that the string just sort of, the rope, unraveled very quickly. Not only that, but to get these ice pick climber things into her actual belt there, it's very fiddly, and those tiny hook things that she has just here to fit them on, they pop out, they fall off, they're very fiddly to get back in there. It's quite frustrating, but once you get it done, it's done, you know, and it looks good, but it is incredibly fiddly. The walkie-talkie, this clip on the back has fallen off twice, and it sort of just pops out the back. I've had to glue it back on twice, and that's just very, very annoying. But you kind of expect these things with these, because third-party figures, these things always break. It's just the way it is, I'm afraid. Luckily, you're able to glue it back on, because if you weren't able to glue it back on, this would be now trash, something you couldn't use at all. But you know, just so be careful with it. And my final gripe, the spikes for the boots. Now these look good, and when you put them on the figure, they look good. However, they're sort of held on by elastic bands up here, and that's it. And there's no support at the back here. They don't clip on to the back of the boot or anything, so they just sort of sit on top of the boot. And these, if these sort of get a bit lax or slack or move a little bit, they look ugly on the boot, and then they really fall off very easy if you're reposing and posing her around. Oh, and the hands, while they can go on and off very easily, the same can be said when you're reposing her, and they can pop off while you're trying to get her into a pose. Those are the minor gripes that I've got with this figure. If there was one or two, then it would be absolutely fine. You know, you can expect a couple, especially with third party. But when you put them all together, and these are popping out, and then the hands are popping off, and then one of these is wonky, and then this clip snaps off, while you're just trying to get it into a normal pose, that's when you're going to start going, oh, getting frustrated, and you just want to call this figure a pile of crap. That being said, it does look good. I really like the clothing. The tailoring is fantastic. No weathering, but that's just a minor gripe again. I really do like this hood. It works really well. However, putting it on her doesn't work. So basically, this is for cosmetic use only. I'd say she's probably about a 7 out of 10 if I was to give her a number, because she's good, but those minor niggly problems that she's got stops her from being an excellent figure. If they'd have just managed to like get magnets on these or clip them onto the boots so they don't come off easily, in fact they don't come off at all, that would have been great. Same with the clip here. If they'd been able to keep this on without it snapping off, great. And these fiddly things here, like if that was the only problem, I'd be saying this is an 8 or 9 out of 10, simply because those niggling little hooks there can annoy, but it's just one problem. The rest of the figure is good. The body joints are tight, the head sculpt is fantastic, the accessories look great, but it's just the putting on and putting off of the accessories that can get you down. Okay guys, that's it for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe. I have a few more figures on the way, so hopefully they turn up sooner rather than later, but postal strikes being what they are, you just never know. Thanks a lot guys. Bye bye.